Welcome to this tutorial on how to create an event. We're going to jump straight in now and have a look at how we go and create events in Reds. First thing to note is only certain permission levels can actually create events. So those who are divisional operations officers, deputy divisional operations officers, team and deputy team conveners will have the required modify permissions to be able to actually create or edit any existing events in Reds. So when we're at the dashboard and we're going to create our new event, we're going to head up to our events tab down the left menu here, and we're going to scroll this down to create our new event down here by adding event. When this takes us into our add event page, we'll go through the key requirements through the event template to actually establish our new event. Any items on the page that have the star are your required items that actually need to be filled in if you're creating an event. For instance, if you're maybe creating a placeholder, the minimum things you need to achieve. So we're going to go about creating an event as an example here. So what we do is we're going to actually create a master event, and we'll talk a little bit about the required items of structure in another tutorial. So this one we'll call a Grassfire fire event in Macedon, let's say. So what we're doing with regards to our naming convention is anything that's our master event, we're going to record those in capital letters, and the hyphen master at the end of the event to signify that it is a master event. The purpose of our master event is predominantly twofold. One is a structural purpose. It's there to actually create a structure for maintaining all the required items within the response to the activation. And the second is to actually then identify for statistical reporting purposes the events we're responding to. The date range on your master should cover a range for the whole of the activation response. Obviously, initial stages, this will be unknown, and so it will likely be a bit of a guesstimation for the range, but this will all be cleaned up on closure of the event, which we'll cover in another tutorial. As it is a master event, this may not necessarily be a location in all instances. Given this is a fire event where it's over a large range, our location may just be the Macedon area. We do need to put in city, wait for the response to pop up, and choose off the list your city option. Now, because I've actually chosen 5 August, and the recording of this is actually 18 August, our status has already appeared as completed. We'll note if we then move these dates to, say, 5 September, our status has now moved automatically to scheduled. So that's just something to be wary of, that you do have the right status for your event. If you are putting in a placeholder, make sure you are using the to be confirmed as your status. When an event is actually in the system and the date range passes, as you've seen, for existing events, it will do the same as it just did then. So it will automatically move to completed if it was an existing event when the date range has passed. So we'll just scroll down below the status box there. You've got the ability to put in information in here. So you might then put your information about the event, or if it's a team meeting or a training event, whatever your event type might be, you can put information about the event that will be visible to the actual attendees. Administrative details will give you the option to then again have visible information, but this can be more of a log type situation where you can actually track information. But as you can see, it will be visible to the people looking at the events. However, it's only visible to those who are actually able to modify or edit the event. So typically, therefore, only the team conveners and divisional operations officers, team members won't see information in this administration box. So the other required items to establish our event allocated to is our primary group of allocation for the event. So a few key rules around the allocation of an event in terms of the primary establishment are as follows. So we've just quickly jumped across to look at this, our events management. So what we actually have is all of our master events should be actually held primary group at a division level. Our response shifts should all be maintained at a team level. Our meetings likewise at team level. The exception possibly on the team for meetings might be things like MEP meetings or REMCs, formal emergency planning meetings that liaison officers or divisional operations officers might be attending, where these will then be stored at division level, and training also likewise at team level. So the intention through this structure is that we limit the amount of shifts visible to a team member to keep it simplicity purposes, so that they are only seeing shifts that actually they will be able to respond to, and not necessarily seeing the whole list of events when the purpose of these master events is for structural purposes mainly. Okay, so pop straight back over to our event now. Now we've had a quick look at our event management. So this is our event master that we are creating. So as we've just talked about, this will be stored at the division level for the Macedon Rangers, which will be in a Lord and Mallee division, which we can then select from our listing there. Our event type. The structure for our event type, which feeds into our reporting, is such that your master event will be the only emergency operations shift. So the intention when we are done running our reporting is that you will get one fire response appearing in our statistical reporting, even though we might have had 2, 3, 4, 12, whatever it might be, response shifts. It's actually one activation that they're responding to. So the master event will be the only event in the whole structure that actually is an emergency operation response. So in this one, we're going to scroll down to our emergency operations, which is our grass fire. So we'll click on the arrows to expand the fire and choose our grass fire event. If we pop across here to staffing, the next thing that we want to do is actually head to our expression of interest. You can see here the default for staff required is 0 staff required. Now obviously we won't be needing any staff on a master, so we won't need to actually make any alterations to that. When we get to our response shifts, that's when you'd actually modify that one. For a master shift, we'd then go to our expressions of interest, turn that to no, and we can actually just put in the word master in the reason as to why there's no expressions of interest allowed for this event. Now, because this is a master event, it's, as I said, predominantly there for reporting and structural purposes. This event does not need to be shared to any other events, so it will only be saved at that divisional level. So over to our sharing level, we don't need to worry about at this stage. That's our default information required at this stage for our master, so we're going to go ahead and update the details on that. That will then create our event, and we've now got our REDS number, and our event has been established and is ready to go. This series will continue in creating response shifts and structure and a few other things around events management. So keep an eye out for those tutorials. Great. Thanks for your watching.